Okay.
Meeting is being recorded.
Welcome, everyone. This is the Tampa Bay IIBA chapter of Tampa Bay IIBA chapter, and we are having our 30th study group today. Welcome to that. We are just getting started. Let's see. We are going to be covering 3 different techniques today. They are going to be listed in just a moment. But first, let me introduce you to our chapter. Sorry, PowerPoint is taking just a little bit extra time coming up today. 30th class, it's in April. Incidentally, if you're not from the Tampa Bay area, that's okay. These happen to be a phenomenal group of people that are a little bit scattered as well, but we service all of Northern Florida as well as anyone else who wants training and teaching and mentoring and resume review and connections to people and whatever else you need. Let me tell you about our goals. Our mission is to bridge the gap between industry leaders and business analysts by building partnerships with professionals, educators, and employers so we may empower, instruct, and engage the Tampa Bay IT community. It just occurred to me, I don't remember sharing my screen. Let me do that now. It works a lot better if you see what I'm talking about, I think. Okay. We have a variety of ways to reach us. We have past meetings recorded. As I said, this is our 30th study group. We have a lot of great conversations that help you understand what the BABOK is about. If you're new to the IIBA, the BABOK is the Business Analysis Book of Knowledge. It is our handbook. It basically is the thing that you study so that you can pass the test, so that you can become a certified business analyst professional or a beginning business analyst. We have a couple of different levels of certification. We have a variety of ways to connect with us. We have our meetups, which you probably just figured out. We meet via Zoom. We have our IIBA site. We have websites. We have another meetup. We have 2 different LinkedIn groups. If you want to reach us, these are the easy ways to reach us. We also have a list of the past meetings.
Thea, you're
Yes.
not sharing your screen if you were.
My screen, I said to share it. You're right. Here I started and I jumped back into the presentation. Let me go back to the connections. Thank you. So these places you can reach us at. If you want to do a screenshot here, you can grab all of these addresses. Our past meeting recordings are right here in the highlighted in turquoise, and then you have all the other ways to reach us. Thank you, Cliff. This is a list of the previous classes, class number 2 through 17. After 17, we started working through the techniques, which you can tell we do 3 techniques average per meeting. Until then, we were having conversations. In our conversations, we were going over practice test questions for each of these chapters in order. You can see our tests were not always high scores, but what we did is we discovered the logic of why we were making the mistakes, and we were able to improve ourselves. Whenever you think of an organization that's a not-for-profit, you know that we have a board. Our board is made up of volunteers, not paid people. And the person you just heard, his name is Cliff. He is our president. He is very loyal on jumping in here and recording these sessions for us. Lori is our vice president of finance. Caitlin and Priscilla are our board members at large. They lean in whenever we need some assistance. My name is Thea Raisins. I am the vice president of career and professional development for the chapter. And Tiffany occasionally leans in to lend me a hand in running these meetings. Bob Churchill is our study group advisor. Bob attending our study groups gives us a little bit more legitimacy because he has passed his CBAP certification, as well as has a whole bunch of other things, letters behind his names of things that he's earned. Now, on top of earning quite a number of impressive things, Bob has a website, a blog, that he puts together articles on very interesting things that are useful to BAs as well as people that are in technology, project managers, process improvement people. Bob, I believe, has a degree in mechanical engineering. So, and he also has a geeky sense of finance. So between all of those things, he has just a great amount of information on his website. I encourage you to go look at it. As I said, this is our 30th meeting. I will ask Cliff to give me a screenshot and tell me who is involved in our meeting today, and then I'll update our attendance. That attendance is giving you credit for participating in today's meeting. That gives you 1 hour of education credit. You have to have a certain number of education credits to be able to to take the certification test. So having those education credits available to be able to say you were here and you participated is very valuable. I would ask that you do indeed participate. Don't just start us and walk away. What we're doing here is to give you insight and encouragement to be the best business analyst to be. So can you still see my screen? Anybody?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Sorry, you caught
thank
me with
you.
a mouthful of food.
So in the past, that's okay. That's okay. At least you spoke up. In the past, we've gone through the techniques. You can see the techniques all listed here from 1 to 50. And here are the dates that we went over them. If you're looking for a specific technique, you can go to our recorded session to view that technique information. Today, we're going to go over organizational modeling. Then we're going to go over the rules and permissions matrix. And then I'm going to dive into workshops, which is a bit more intense. Before we get started, does anyone have any questions?
I do.
Okay. So
I do.
yes,
I'm
go
late.
ahead.
I'm late because I lost my Zoom link in my email somewhere. Is there somewhere where I can find that darn link? Easier.
Well, I'll tell you what I do. Bob, I tell you what,
Okay.
Bob, tell us the right way to do it, because I don't know that the way I use it is right.
I don't know. I lost the link. That's why it's late.
Okay, can you see our chat?
Yes.
Okay, Bob, can you paste the link to the Zoom meeting in the chat?
I
Oh,
will do.
I
Give me a
meant if
minute.
I lost it in the future, how would I
Yeah.
usually find it? I'm not going to be able to access the chat, would I?
Well, if you copy it out of the chat, you can put it someplace
Oh.
safe.
All right. Cool. Thank you.
Well, that's what your web browser has favorites for, but yeah.
Right?
I didn't figure it.
But
Okay.
definitely do the meetup. That's where we post most of the stuff. So
Yeah, I didn't see it in there. I don't know.
I'll get it to you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's talk about organizational modeling. I'm going to give you the high level organizational modeling. Basically, organizational modeling is nothing more than this thing that you've seen in almost every company that you've gone to work for. Basically, you have who the leaders are, who the management is, then sub-management, and then yourself is listed under here somewhere. What you'll find in, and I've got to tell you the stuff out of the BABOK, so whenever you take the test, you can answer these questions properly. The purpose is to describe the roles, responsibilities, and reporting structures that exist within an organization and align those structures with the organization's goals. What you're going to find out is since the early 80s, organizational modeling has changed considerably. They've gone through a lot of different formats trying to figure out the best way to structure organizations, and the organization model should reflect the structure of the organization. The management principles, the structure, the hierarchy should all be listed in a single organizational model that any employee should be able to look at any time and have the most updated version. So that means it's on Confluence, SharePoint, someplace that can be updated at a moment's notice whenever someone leaves or enters the company. And usually it's the responsibility of someone in HR to keep that updated if it's at the organization level. If, however, it's at the, say, division level, that's going to be someone within that division that keeps it updated, and it's going to be unique to your company, whoever is responsible for keeping that. Um, the drawback of organizational models is very often it's not updated. So whenever you first go into the company, get the organizational model and then doubt it. Ask questions. Is this the person? Does this person report to this other person? For whenever you're looking to go to interview someone, who's leading this division, things like that. So it defines how the organizational unit is structured. It's going to show the boundaries of the group, the formal relationship between members, who reports to whom, the functional role of each person. So it should have their job title and the interfaces, interactions, and dependencies. So let's jump down here. You're going to notice that there is a dotted line between this entity and this one down here. This dotted line means that it's an informal reporting structure. So this person not only reports to this person, but they also report to this person somehow. Having two bosses is hard, especially if they have different goals or different perspectives. And it's even harder because both of them think they have your time all the time. So if you can look at the organization chart before you go into a company, before you get the position, if you notice a bunch of stuff like this, you may ask, how many bosses will I need to report to? Will I have a single person that I report to, or will I be is it a matrix organization? So this one is a functionally oriented organization model. This is one of the 3 standards that the BABOK presents. So it's by function based on what they serve, what they're actually doing. So in this case, it would be something like manufacturing would be in one branch, packaging would be in one branch, and shipping would be in one branch. It's going to be separated by the function. And then the next one is called market oriented, and it's going to be based on which market they serve. So say this is a sales organization. You've got your president and their immediate staff, and then you've got it by region. This is the Southeast region, the North region, the Central region, and then Mexico or international or whatever. In this case, it only has 3 regions, and here's one for finance, which kind of crosses all the regions. The next one is the matrix model. This one is probably the one I would say if you're looking at an organization to get a job in, you might not want to work in this kind of organization. Look at this employee right here. This employee reports to this line manager and this project manager. This line manager has very different goals than this project manager. Now, the only time I've ever seen this really work well is if the line manager was responsible for nothing more than the administration. They were responsible for my timesheet's not right, I need to take vacation, things like that. And then the project manager was the one you actually worked with on a daily basis. Sometimes that will work pretty well. So in this, you've got your roles, and the role is identified. And I said earlier that you've got your role. Let me say that just because you know someone's title doesn't mean you have a clue what they actually do. Titles in different companies can mean the same thing and be totally different in every single company. You know this if you've looked for jobs recently. What they call you in one company is not what they're going to call you in a totally different company. And so you really need to look at the responsibilities, and then whenever you get into an organization, learn what the person with this title means. I've had senior BAs that were called architects, and then I've had senior developers that were called architects. They're both called architects, but they don't have the same role at all. They don't have the same responsibilities, same skill levels, same skill sets. It's kind of crazy. The interfaces, whenever you have the org chart, it's going to show you the interfaces between the different sections. This one, all 3 of these areas would probably ladder up to a single person, and then come down and show the different employees inside. And then you've got these interfaces going across. Again, this is a very challenging type of organizational chart. A single box can depict several things. It can be an organizational unit, a department, a division, a person. I've even seen organizational charts that go down into the different responsibilities. This role is, or this division is responsible for these things. So it almost turns into a responsibility chart cross between an org chart. And then we talked about lines of reporting. let's talk about influencers. All the influencers that you want to talk to being a business analyst might not be on the org chart as having a position of responsibility or authority. You're going to have influencers that are they've been there for a long time. Everybody knows they have all the answers, and they worry about what's going to happen when that influencer leaves the company because they take all of their tribal knowledge with them. You need to ask whenever you're in meetings with your interviews, and as well as meetings in groups, who can I ask? Who else should I talk to? Who knows about? Who else would like to know about this? And you're going to find that the people that are influencers may not be, again, the people that have the fancy titles. Usage considerations, you're going to see these in most organizations, and they're mostly going to have information that you can use. Limitations, mostly out of date. The informal lines of authority, influence, and communication are not always documented on your org chart. So it's up to you to kind of print a copy and then make updates to your own version. I encourage you to keep that version updated and neat enough so that whenever a new person comes on board, you can share a copy of that with them, because being a source of knowledge not only will help your organization, your personal group organization, but it also allows those people to know that you have the resources and understanding, and they will continue to come to you with questions as well as bring information to you for you to update your information. Okay, the next thing, let me go to the next. Let's see, roles and permissions matrix. Permissions. Okay, here we go. So the roles and permissions matrix is actually, in my opinion, much more useful than an org chart. This is really what you're going to use to be able to talk to who can do what in which system. Let's say you're developing I'm sorry, does anyone have any questions about org chart or any comments?
Nope.
Okay. So let's say you're developing a new software application, and what you need to do is identify who can do what within that software application. So you're always going to have a super user. They're basically going to be the lead administrator that can do everything, and you trust them with everything. So be sure you really trust them with everything. Then you're going to have people that can do different things. So in this example, you've got your administrator and your manager for role group 1. You've got your role group 2 with sales and customer. So the customer can create a new account, modify an account, and create an order. Sales can create an order, view reports, and create reports. The administrator and manager can do everything. Usually, if you have something like this where the roles are exactly the same, I would suggest that you merge those two roles. You have no reason to have to duplicate amongst those two things if they're exactly the same. Generally, an administrator and manager would have different abilities. For instance, the administrator might have the ability to add and delete people from the different roles, while the manager would want to see reports more frequently. The administrator would be able to create reports, while the managers don't want the ability to create reports. The very best way to create these matrices would be to go through your use cases and say, as a administrator, I want to do this because of this. I know that's a user story, but then take it down into a use case. I want to be able to do this. I need to provide this information. I need to get this output. I want it to automatically be created on a weekly basis. You know, you create your use cases and then you can look at this and just lay it out. This view allows the people in the meetings to say, yes, I agree, or I have a concern. But having it in this type of graphic is very useful in helping them understand not only that you understand what the situation is, but that you've got it captured in a way that it's easy for them to understand. And whenever it comes down to UAT testing, you're going to have to ask them to go through each of these things And having this something that's familiar to them is going to make it a lot easier for them to actually go through and do the testing. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay. Identifying roles, you're going to be able to say, are there any other roles or any other permissions that we need to have in this? Then you go into your identifying your activities. You identify your authorities. Authorities are actions that identified roles are permitted to perform. So for each activity, you need to identify the analyst for each role. This is going to be the level of security, how the work flows through the process, and you would continue to collaborate with your stakeholders to validate if that you have the correct authorities. You're going to have the possibilities of delegation and inheritance. Delegation is I am a manager, I'm going on vacation, I want the administrator to take over these roles, or I want another manager to be able to take over these roles while I'm gone. Inheritance is when an individual is assigned an authority or organizational hierarchy level, and it pertains to only what that individual's organizational level or any subsidiary organizational unit levels. So let's say I am a salesperson in the Midwest region, and I have been given the responsibility of also the Northeast region. So I need to be able to inherit the same abilities in a different area. So the strengths of this type of technique would be to provide procedural checks and balances. You don't want to give everybody keys to the kingdom. You want to keep people in their roles so that they don't come in to do things that they're not supposed to do. It provides additional data security by restricting individuals from performing certain actions. You don't want people to be able to delete other people unless they are the person that has that permission. It also promotes improved review of transaction history. Your audit logs can capture details about assigned authorities at the time. So let's say I am a manager level 2, and I go in and I try to do something that a manager level 1 is only allowed to do. That would not only be audited, but it should also throw a flag that says, do we need to see if manager level 2s get this ability? You know, is this something we need to consider changing? Or it may just be a training issue. Manager level 2 doesn't know what she or he is supposed to or able to do. Let's provide an opportunity for training. But if you don't have that limitation, you don't have those considerations. Okay. Limitations, you need to recognize the required level of detail for a specific initiative or activity. Too much detail can be time consuming, and you don't want to slog people down with too much. You want to give them the value and the level of detail and not give them things they don't need. Okay. Rather than me talking constantly on this without any questions, I need y'all to ask me questions just to show me that you are participating.
I'm participating. This is my first time actually, and I'm enjoying it so far. My background is, I don't mind saying my interrupting. I have a bachelor's degree in information technology from George Mason University, and a minor in business. And I was a BABOK member before, and I've been through the book, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to pursue a career in BA. But now I'm definitely sure I'm 100%. This is the career path I want to pursue. And I'm enjoying the learning so far. And I'm very passionate about business technology in general. This is the career path I really want to be in. And I really like the way you.
I'm very glad to hear that.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot. Like the way you're breaking things down, and then learning on your own. Like
that's great.
But the way you're doing it is very helpful. And then I'm taking a lot of notes. So I'm gonna be an active member from now on. I booked it on my calendar. Thank you so much.
Okay, wonderful. Well, you do know you have access to all of the recorded sessions from previous, and even before my 30 sessions, Bob has put in a huge amount of effort doing lunch and learns that are phenomenal. So those are also available, I believe, at the same location, aren't they, Cliff?
Yes, they are.
Okay, I encourage you to look them up. Excellent, thank you. I'm glad
Welcome,
to see
Bob.
you, Bob.
Thanks. You
concerned
chimed in
for you.
before I hit unmute.
It's not like you not to be on. I see lots of names that we know, so this is quite exciting. Okay, does anyone else have any questions?
Hey Thea, this is Tish. I don't have any questions. I'm learning, but I just wanted to say thank you for all of the meeting recordings, because I've been digesting this BABOK, and the recordings have helped to bring it alive and bring it to life. And I did order the watermark. You had mentioned that in one of the recordings, and so that's been very helpful as well too.
Great. I tell you what, Tish, if you're interested, I think Watermark has offered us a discount code if you're wanting to purchase anything from them. If you'll reach out to me on LinkedIn, I'll find that discount code and give it to you.
Okay, sounds great.
You don't have to use it, but okay, cool. Just let me know. Okay, anybody else? Okay. I tell you what, we've got 5 minutes till the bottom of the hour. Let me just do a brief commercial. There are some that you
It's
might not know
only
about the IIBA.
7:25.
Yes, that's right. I was going to do workshops next, but I wanted to go ahead and do this in case anyone had to drop early. Some things that you might not know about the IIBA. The IIBA is an international organization run by volunteers. We have a book of knowledge, which is what we call the BABOK. It's our business analysis book of knowledge. If you join the IIBA, you not only get a book of knowledge, but you also get access to a huge library of very valuable information. I would encourage you to at least investigate it. Even if you're not interested in joining, investigate it. Additionally, joining the IIBA gives you access to all of the chapters worldwide, which means if you wanted to participate in study groups and workshops and social opportunities and networking opportunities, you would have access to classes or groups that are meeting worldwide 24 hours a day. And I have done presentations for folks in quite a number of countries, and they are some of the most welcoming and wonderful people you'll ever meet. And you're going to learn from different perspectives. Way, I will tell you that a BA in the USA in Mid-America is very different than one on the West Coast or East Coast, just because of the culture we work in. And then you're going to get very different things from someone in Australia or London or India or Italy. So go out and explore if you have the opportunity and the time. Let's see, taking certification classes and tests. The certifications we have, I think, 6 different certifications now. We have one that's for Agile. We have a couple that are different levels of business analysis, which is basically if you're a beginner business analyst, you can take one and get that certification. If you've been at it for a while, there's a different certification. And then the business analyst professional, the CBAP, is the one that you have to prove that you have quite a number of hours in working in different using skills in different areas that are represented in the BABOK. Additionally, you have to have not only your work hours, but you also have to have some education hours. And that's what this class is giving you, is a education hour. You can use those opportunities with BABOK groups or CBAP groups or IIBA groups worldwide to get more education hours. Additionally, you can get education hours working with some other organizations. For instance, volunteering with groups like Code for America. As a business analyst, you can do some things for Code for America. You're going to get exposed to technologies and opportunities and networking that you wouldn't get going through the traditional chapters or channels. Also, you can get involved with some project management groups through PMI and work with some of our own skill sets with them and get some things done. There's always volunteer opportunities. Almost every not-for-profit has an opportunity that they would love for you to lean in and get some experience. Those are great on resumes as well. If you would like some additional information on that, or if you need mentoring, or if you need a review of your resume, please contact me directly through LinkedIn. You see my name there on the screen. My name is Thea Tanner Raisins, but you can find me as Thea Raisins. And I keep all of my networking and all my business is strictly in LinkedIn, just because I get too many recruiters coming through my email. So before I go on, does anyone have any questions?
Hi, Thea. I'm Kari. I
Okay.
would
let's go
like to
into-
contribute to your
Yes. Hi,
to
Kari.
your commercial, I guess. So I manage a small team of BAs on the West Coast.
Sure. Tell me.
We are the IT company for the County of San Diego. So I've encouraged my team to join these groups. I've been catching up on the recorded versions and encouraging them to do the same. We have a corporate
Great.
membership, but it's really just our small account that's leveraging the membership right now. But just wanted to thank you and
Okay.
let you know. I think Sabrina is one of my staff as well, and hopefully there'll be some more to come. But I think they're all trying to catch up on the recorded sessions. So thank you.
Hey, I just, yes,
Well,
just wanted to
that
add to
is
that.
quite encouraging.
I wanted to add to that. Yeah,
Okay.
I was a BABOK member before, and this was like a year ago. I was finishing my undergraduate degree, but I didn't have enough time to like, I knew I wanted to pursue career in business analyst, but I just didn't have enough, I didn't put enough effort in the membership, and my membership expired. I checked like a couple of weeks ago, but it's very helpful. There's a lot of materials out there. Oh my God, like there's a lot of videos. When I bought it, it's just like the money is so much, it's so worth it. Like I highly recommend it. I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is like a whole library. Like, like you think it's BA is like a field, but it's not. There's so much in there. Like I was like, wow, this is amazing. That's one reason I want to get into this career path. Like I believe you have to be a good fit for this, for BA.
Well,
I believe I'm a good fit. So anyways, what are your tips for beginners? Like people are just beginning.
Well, I guess it depends on what your goals are. If you want to get into process improvement, that's one avenue, or if you want to get into software development, that's a totally different avenue. Here's some things I'll tell every beginner. Every time I start a class, I'll go through this list. Being a business analyst is not hard. It takes effort. It takes focus. If you've ever babysat a stranger's 4-year-old, like a cousin's 4-year-old, and you've said, what do you want to eat? And they tell you, and you make it, and you deliver it, and you ask them, is that what you wanted? Is it good? You've just been a business analyst, because basically that's what we do, is we figure out what is needed. We get it developed, created, we get the process changed, whatever, and then we check to be sure it was done well and that we got the results we were hoping for. So those things are all very important in every walk of life. People are business analysts or doing business analysis, and they don't even know what business analysis means. So you probably have skills in business analysis and probably have experience in business analysis, and you never knew it before. So as you go through the BABOK, you're going to look at stuff and go, I've done that. I was a secretary, and I took, I figured out what they needed, and I got it created, and I provided it, and I produced it, and then I checked on quality, and then that's business analysis. You can be a business analyst in almost any industry. I've been a business analyst in tax preparation software, telecommunications, nuclear facilities, medical diagnostics. We rewrote all of the processes for the entire laboratory for Quest Diagnostics. And basically you get to learn a lot of really cool stuff. No matter what industry you're in, you get to learn new things, because you have to understand the codes and the errors and the criticalities and the limitations. And then you take those and you make everyone's life better. As a business analyst, you have the opportunity to interview and work with a lot of different people. You're going to find that some people have a concept that business analysis is nothing more than receptionist, secretary, note taker. That may be what it is in some organizations. We do a lot more than that. In fact, we can point to, I'm sure many of you who are on the meeting can point to situations where you've been able to say, wait a minute, I see a landmine ahead and we need to take care of it now before we blow up. Or If we do it that way, it's going to cost us these because of the penalties and no one else is aware of it. Or I brought in legal and audit before the process got started, and they were able to shave off an extra $10,000 off their processes because they were able to work it in the middle and in the beginning, whenever they normally are brought in at the very end and everyone has to, recover. We save companies lots of money. We also make people's lives a lot better. One of my very favorite things to do is walk into a interview after letting them know I'm coming. I always do the prep work. I get permission to go. I make the appointment. I let them know I'm coming. I let them know what I need from them. But very often when you walk into an interview with someone, they're like, are they getting rid of my job? Is that why they want to know what I'm doing? And usually that's not the case. But what you have to do is you have to present yourself that you are there to be able to document their processes in such a way that they're understandable, that they line up with the larger process throughout the organization. And what ends up happening is that person finds out that their piece of the process is critical, that what they do is critical to the organizational success. And then you are able to say, and if you were able to change anything, what would you change? What are your pain points? What would you do if we were able to automate these things that you're doing, this manual thing for 30 hours a month? What if we were able to automate that thing and you had 30 hours a month to make your job better and lean into the creativity and make things better? They very often bloom. Many of those folks have gone into management and discovered that they had abilities and confidences that they didn't have before. So I love being a business analyst for that exact reason. Whenever you go into business analysis, you need to figure out what your strengths are and work to your strengths. Don't go into business analysis thinking I'm going to be this cookie cutter thing and try to fit your strengths into that. You've got to use your strengths and work to those. And then also find the things that you need to improve within yourself. If you need more experience interviewing, put yourself in that situation where you're interviewing more. Volunteer for an organization that lets you interview. Do the things that will make you the very best business analyst for the organization. And I do encourage everyone to volunteer. Not only does volunteering help people get to know you, have common experiences, and build trust, but you will get experiences and networking that you would never guess. I've been a member of the board of the IIBA for over 10 years. I helped write the last book of knowledge, and I'm going to be one of the managing authors on the next book of knowledge. I'm helping make life better for a lot of people, and that's my job. Any other questions? Okay, let's go into workshop. Let's see. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Let me go into workshops. Okay. Workshops are a little bit more involved than you would think, according to the BABOK. Workshops
I'm sorry, I don't see your screen.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Let me go back and click it again. I appreciate you letting me know.
No problem.
Come on. I've got this little bit of lag on my screen. Okay, I'll talk about workshops while it's coming up. A workshop is not a short meeting. A workshop is designed to be typically probably a 2 to 3 day meeting. And the concept of workshops was very much more popular before COVID. And so this may not be totally applicable to your life after COVID, but as people are going more and more back into the workforce and into the office, maybe we'll get to this place again. Okay. Let me know when you can see my screen. It should be coming up now. Can you see it?
Yes.
There we go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so workshops' purpose is to bring stakeholders together in order to collaborate on achieving a predefined goal. It's important you have the goal identified before you even consider who your participants are going to be. Description: a workshop is a focused event attended by key stakeholders and SMEs for a concentrated period of time. You can have it at a hotel, a meeting room, wherever, but typically you are having your workshop for the purpose of doing something very detailed. Typically, you're going to have your workshop at one of two stages in the project. You're going to have it at the very beginning to say, this is who we are, this is what we're doing. We're doing a kickoff in this workshop. We want to know what your goals are for the project, what your concerns are. You're gathering this information. It's important for that kickoff workshop that you have the right people in the room. You don't want the people that don't have opinions. You want the people that do have opinions. It's important in workshops that you control your audience. And that means that not only do you want the people that have opinions, but you also want to be sure that everyone has an opportunity to speak. Workshops generally include your representative group of stakeholders. This could be management in your organization. This could be your customers. It depends on what your goal for your workshop is. You also want an interactive and collaborative work. Predefined work product so you know what you're leaving there with, and you need a facilitator. You're also going to need someone that keeps time, someone that keeps notes. Those two people are totally different people than the facilitator, and I do encourage you as a facilitator that you do not try to do all three of those jobs. The timekeeper needs to be keeping time and doing nothing else. The note taker needs to be able to take notes and nothing else. And you as the facilitator, the extent of your taking notes is maybe have a parking lot on the wall whenever someone brings up something that's outside of the scope of this workshop or a concern but not to be addressed at this time. You walk over and you put it on the parking lot to acknowledge that it hasn't been forgotten, it is being taken noted of, but that it is not something that y'all can discuss during this time. I do encourage you, whenever you have someone that has something for the parking lot, that you approach them immediately after that session and say, that was very interesting and I'm really glad you brought it up. When can we talk about it? That way they don't spend the rest of the workshop thinking, I bet they're not even going to listen to me. I bet it's going to be forgotten. It's going to be thrown away at the end of. Don't let them do that. Talk about it and get it scheduled right then. When can we talk about it? Who else needs to be involved? What are the ramifications if we have to push it out? Get that information. And is there any documentation you can send to me about this so that I can understand it better before we have this meeting? So take care of your parking lot issues. What that does is it allows those people to focus on the rest of the workshop and be more engaged. Let's see. One of the goals of workshop is to promote trust, mutual understanding, and strong communication between those stakeholders that are participating. Your goal is to produce the deliverables that structure and guide future work efforts. So let's talk about the beginnings of a workshop. Well, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Prepare for the workshop. You define your purpose and your desired outcomes. And this is with some education on your part. You're not doing this in a vacuum. You've gotten some feedback from a good representative group of people that this is what needs to be done. You identify the key stakeholders to participate. Who needs to participate needs to be identified and approved. And you are going to have certain people in your organization that have to approve it, especially if people have to travel for this workshop because you've got budget there. You identify your facilitator and your scribe. You create your agenda, time box your agenda. Determine how the outputs are going to be captured. I would encourage that your that your scribe keep things on a OneNote that is shareable to the entire group and they can look at it at all times. That way, if they have a screen in front of them, they can see that it's being captured. Schedule the session and invite the participants, arrange rooms, logistics, and equipment should you need to, and send the agenda and materials in advance to prepare the attendees and to increase the productivity of the meeting. And as well, if appropriate, conduct pre-workshop interviews with participants. One of the keys to sending people things to prepare for a workshop is to let them know something will be required of them regarding this information. If you just send them a packet, they're going to wait until they arrive to look at your packet. Send them the packet and say, On page 6, if you'll read through the packet on page 6, we have a questionnaire that we would like for you to return to us before the workshop so that we can include your considerations or your concerns or whatever, but give them a reason to read through it and give you feedback before the workshop begins. If you don't do that, you're going to get people that they just came because they had to, or they just came because they wanted, 2 days in wherever it is, San Francisco. Workshop roles. You got your sponsor. Frequently, they don't attend, but this is the person who has accountability for the outcome. If you were creating a RACI, they would be the one with the A in their column. You got the facilitator. That's typically a business analyst, someone who is skilled at facilitation. I'll tell you, if you're a new business analyst, you're going to become skilled at facilitation. You will learn how to run a room. You've got your scribe. This is the person who's responsible for documenting. And it is also their role, I don't think it's said here, it is their role to interrupt and say, pardon me, you said this needed to be done. When does it need to be done by? Who is responsible for doing that? Because if it's not captured during that conversation, you might not ever get back to it. So it's their job to have the ability to raise their hand and say, pardon me, I need to get more information on this thing. You have your timekeeper. The timekeeper can be maybe an assistant. It can be a new BA who is not very familiar with running these. It is their opportunity to observe, participate in a very mild way, but being a timekeeper is critical because we've got 5-minute mark, it's their job to raise a flag to say, we have 5 minutes left in this session. So you know that if the session's goal was to accomplish X, Y, and Z, you got 5 minutes to get to a conclusion. And the people in the meeting know because you've got the 5-minute mark, you've got 5 minutes. Always have your workshop sessions time boxed because you'll have people that want to take you on a left turn, take you on a journey, derail you, or just have a gripe session. But if you have your time box and your goals for each session, you're doing really well. Your participants, you've got key stakeholders, subject matter experts. Key stakeholders are typically decision makers. Subject matter experts are people that can say, but if we do that, these are the things that will happen. And you need both of those in there. Let's see. Conducting the workshop. I'm sorry, let's go back. Figuring out who your key stakeholders and your decision makers are going to be is critical. It's almost like the ingredients of a good recipe. If you don't have them well picked, well identified, you're not going to come out with a good product. You need the key stakeholders to be people who not only are committed to attending and participating, but they're there with the understanding that we need your decision on these things. I would encourage you that the scribe, the one who's keeping notes, every time there's a task to do, they put it in a RACI. If you don't know what a RACI is, contact me later. It creates accountability and it's wonderful. But key stakeholders know that they make decisions and you have to get them there. Whenever you're creating, yes, go ahead.
Sorry, this is Paloma. So I guess I'm asking, to me, there's a lot of similarities or crossover to like a monthly or quarterly board meeting because those are such, relevant stakeholders. So are you seeing that application in that process meeting as well? Is this a good format?
This is a pretty good format for some quarterly board meetings or some periodic meetings of management, as long as you run it well. So sometimes periodic meetings of management are nothing more than we get together to give our report and listen to everybody else and we're done. But the purpose of a workshop typically is to reach a conclusion, lay out the plan for the future, and it's typically based on a specific project. So whenever you're talking about a project, you're talking at, the kickoff workshop would be, we're going to, here's one that I was in a couple of years ago. We're going to offshore all of our developers. How are we going to do? We needed to get some people together to make those decisions. It wasn't the goal I was hoping for, but it was the goal I was given. So we had to figure out how to do it. We had to figure out how to meet the needs of the organization, as well as be even aware of the needs of the organization. what would the ramifications be of this move? Fortunately, the workshop came together and the SMEs and decision makers decided it wasn't a good move. But until they got together with the goal of everyone focused on this one thing for an extended period of time, they couldn't make that decision. It was just an idea that was bandied around in the hallways until we got together to have that conversation. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's those applications for the process are what I was looking for. So thank you.
Right. Well, let me talk about the second type of workshop in a project. Typically, I'll have one for kickoff to get everyone together, and then I'll have one when we have about 80% of our requirements identified. And the reason I do that is there are requirements that you're not going to uncover, especially if it's a complex project, unless you have people of different viewpoints and different understandings participating together. And so whenever you get about 80% of your requirements, you've identified what your process is, your ideal process is going to be, as well as, your edge cases. Then you lay it all out and you say, this is what we started with. This is what we think we're going to do. What else do we need to know? And you'll find that people from, people that don't even talk on a regular basis, focused on that one topic, will get together and come up with things that you didn't have the opportunity to find otherwise. That might bite you if you don't find it. So you want to be sure that they have the opportunity to have conversations together, because as I said, they typically don't talk. Somebody over in legal, and then somebody down in accounting, and then somebody over in logistics, having a conversation about something, and they're like, oh, there's going to be a problem there. We wouldn't have known that until we ran into it and it hit us in the face. So you need to give them the opportunity to have those conversations. Anything else? Okay. In conducting the workshop, you need to allow your participants to create their own ground rules for running the workshop. This is one of your icebreaker opportunities at the very beginning of the workshop. And these are some examples of some ways that they can identify what the rules of the workshop are going to be. One of the reasons you want them to identify the rules of the workshop is because once it comes from them, you're not the bad guy. You're not carrying a big stick. You're honoring their request. You document those rules of the workshop on the wall so everyone can see them. And if someone starts to break one of the rules, or if you come to a point where you're not quite sure what to do, go back to the rules. Just point to the rules. And if you need to add rules during the workshop, you can have those conversations. But typically, give them the opportunity to create the rules. Let me talk about the very beginning of the workshop. It takes probably 2 hours to get comfortable with a total stranger, and you're in a group of total strangers. So you need to have a couple of opportunities at the very beginning to not only plan on you're doing almost all the talking, but have everyone introduce themselves, what their role in the company is, what their role in the project is, what their goals for this project is, what their concerns. Just give them, I would like for everyone to spend 3 minutes answering these questions and go around the room. If you can, coach a couple of the people before it starts that are sitting in different parts of the room to mirror what somebody else said. I like what Bob said, and I agree with that. I'd like to add, because what that does is it reinforces people that it's okay to speak up. It's okay to talk. You're also going to have a couple of challenges in this. You're going to have some people that come from cultures that maybe it's not polite to speak up. What you need is to impart to them the permission and the responsibility that you need their expertise. Nobody else in the room has exactly your expertise. So I need for you to bring it to the table and help us understand what we need to understand to make this project succeed and to reach our goals. So you've got about 2 hours to get through all of this. I don't know their name, put name tags out in front of everybody. I'm not comfortable with them. Oh, we both have kids. Give them reasons to get comfortable. Common experiences are going to build trust. So you have to spend about 2 hours getting those things done. Then whenever you get into the workshop, have those time boxes about every hour. Allow everyone to go out for a 5-minute break. If you want to have lunch together and have lunch brought in, but give people a chance to kind of restructure their brain about every hour, no more than every hour and a half, because you may be super focused on this topic, but not everybody can maintain a super focus for a long period of time. Also, they may have other things that they need to think about. And if they know in an hour we will have a break, if you can put away your phones and laptops until then and participate in the conversation, I'll guarantee we have a break. And have your timekeeper keep keep honoring that. Okay. Once you go through the workshop and you have achieved the goals for each of your sessions, at the end of each session, have the scribe identify if you achieve the goal, what the action items are that came out of that. Anytime there's an action item, again, use the RACI, R-A-C-I, and identify who's responsible for it, when is it going to be turned in, and what format is it going to be received in, who else is going to be involved in it using the roles in the RACI. And then at the end of the workshop, celebrate your success. Congratulate each of them on their participation. If you can, give them, thank you. You particularly brought forth this information, identify the things that they brought that nobody else knew, and make them grateful and proud that they were able to participate. And then have all of this documented to send to them, as well as anyone else who wasn't able to attend. Maybe the sponsor wants a copy of it. And then you have to step into the PM role if you don't have a PM of, okay, John, you're supposed to, you committed to giving this to me by Monday. Today's Friday. Are we on track? I know that everyone's going to be expecting it Monday, and I want to make you shine. What can I do to help? So you have to kind of babysit in the background. Let's talk about usage considerations. I don't want to keep y'all past time, because to me, keeping on time is honorable. The strengths, workshops can be a means to achieve agreement in a relatively short period of time. So getting the right people together is critical. It provides a means for stakeholders to collaborate, make decisions, and gain mutual understanding. You'll find that the relationships they build during workshops continue, and it's really cool to watch. Costs are often lower than the cost of performing multiple interviews. Getting them all together at once, you don't have to repeat things or try to say, well, John said, or that I heard, you don't have that. You have, let's talk it through now. It's kind of agile in motion. And then feedback on the issues or decisions can be provided immediately. If it's like, I think we ought to go this direction and somebody else thinks we ought to go this direction, let's have a conversation and get it done. Here's your limitations. Stakeholder availability may make it difficult to schedule the workshop. The success of a workshop is highly dependent on the expertise of the facilitator and the knowledge of their participants. Workshops that involve too many participants can slow down the workshop process. Conversely, collecting input from too many participants can lead to overlooking of needs and issues that are important to some stakeholders, or scroll down, or arriving at decisions that don't represent the needs of the majority of the stakeholders. So it's very important that you be sure that everyone is heard. It's very important that you get the critical people to attend. The only way I've been able to get critical people to attend is get their management on board. If their management is endorsing it and saying it's important you attend, I need you to be there, they'll be there. But without that, they have no reason to step out of their work life and come and participate in this thing that they may not even understand what it's for. That's one reason you've got to kind of do a marketing effort before the workshop of their management, educating people, meeting with people, say, can we have coffee and talk about the workshop that's going to happen next month? You pretty much have to schedule it pretty far in advance. Now, with COVID and people working remotely, a lot of workshops are happening remotely. There are some tools that you can use online that you can see everyone at the same time. I encourage you, if you're going to do a workshop, keep everyone's face on the screen so that they know that they're being observed and they're more likely to be engaged. Whenever you're asking a question, if you're asking it of a specific group or an individual, always begin with their name to be sure that they are paying attention, or you're going to have to repeat yourself, which makes it awkward for both of you. And it wastes time. The goals of workshops are important that you set it up ahead of time. And then whenever you get to the end, always celebrate. I said that before, but it's important enough to reinstate, because you don't want someone coming to your workshop and then saying, I'm never doing that again. You want them to go, you know what? That was worth my time. That was worth the time we invested, and we're coming out with good stuff. Okay, does anyone have any question about workshops?
So pretty much, I guess basically what you're saying is workshops can be used for elicitation and collaboration.
Yes.
Okay.
But workshops are very specific to, let me stop. I can see y'all better. Workshops are very specific to trying to accomplish specific goals. So if you're going to have an interview of a group, you're not going to make it as formal or as complicated as a workshop. If it's just an interview for requirements gathering. For a workshop, you're getting people together that you wouldn't normally be able to get together.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
I got a quick question.
Oh.
It's Paloma
Yes,
again.
Paloma.
So I took a formal BA course recently, and one of the guest speakers made a comment that sort of stuck with me. And she said that she often utilized workshops as a way to identify early adopters, or maybe people who were going to be resistant to change. And it was sort of a subtle, not so obvious way to identify those, you know, those kinds of attitudes. Was that unusual for her, or are you seeing that as a common practice?
No, as you get accustomed to having workshops, you're going to start understanding body language and verbal challenges a lot more. And what you basically do, there's a resistance diagram. I've forgotten the name of the technique, but basically you figure out who is going to be easy to get on board and who's going to be hard to get on board. And then you figure out how you can help the people that are easy to get on board be your cheerleaders, and the people that are resistant, you figure out what is their motivation and goal, and figure out how your project can help them reach their motivation and goal, and be sure that they understand. They just may not understand that until then.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Facilitation is truly an art. It's one of my very favorite things to do, is to take a difficult situation and make it better. It's kind of like mediation in the fact that you can take something that's complicated and reach a satisfactory, or the most satisfactory result. But you're going to become a better and better facilitator the more you do it. You just have to kind of hone your craft. What you see on your screen is a list of the techniques that we currently have gone through, as well as have not. If you are interested, I'm sorry?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So that's like, I take courses on LinkedIn Learning. Like I took a lot of courses on LinkedIn Learning on BA specifically, and it's very helpful.
Yes.
But and then it references the BABOK book and then the IIBA organization. Every time I complete a course, some of the experts, they always refer.
I think I
Sorry,
may
my
have
internet
lost
was a
you.
little unstable. I apologize. Yeah, but it does refer back to IIBA organization and BABOK,
Yes.
which is very helpful. That's one reason I really like BA. It's really all around. There's a lot more into it. Like there's so much. Like just what you said, facilitator is one aspect of just BA, and then it's a huge aspect. And that's the reason I really want to pursue this career path, because I'm gonna have so many options, and I enjoy it because it really aligns with my strength, like what I want to do. You know what I mean? Because I want a fulfilling career. I don't want a career just in it for the money, and then you know what I mean. I'm not satisfied. So that's one reason I want to pursue this career path.
Very good. Well, then you would be particularly interested in this next section. These that you see blanks need to still be presented. And literally, as you saw today, I went through the BABOK. I didn't use any extraneous publications. I just told you my experience and tried to be sure you understand what's in the BABOK. So whenever you see test questions based on that, you can easily just go in and answer the question because you have the knowledge. So if you're interested in presenting one of these that have not yet been presented, for instance, reviews, risk analysis and management, sequence diagrams, it's fully presented in the BABOK, and we just need other people to lean in and participate and do some of these presentations, or it's Bob and I doing, you know, the Bob and Thea show, which isn't a bad show, but we need some variety, and we need for you to have the ability to say, I did a presentation for the study group, and, you know, I have that experience. So if you're interested in one or more of these, lean in and send me information on LinkedIn, and we'll put you down for next week or the week after.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have done articles on reviews and state modeling, so put me down for those. And I'll also do data mining, and maybe Cliff will comment on that.
Oh, it's like he knows something about that.
Nah.
Just a little bit.
If y'all don't know, Cliff is a guru of data management.
I wouldn't go that far. Data management in Microsoft's world.
Okay.
I work for Microsoft. So yeah, we are tunnel visioned in Microsoft's world, but Microsoft's world's pretty big.
Okay. So Bob, you said reviews and state modeling?
Yes.
Okay, we'll plan on for those for next week.
And
anybody else?
I'll claim data mining for sometime.
Okay. Anybody else have any of these that they'd like to do?
Jump in, and you're welcome to do some. Ilya's done a couple. Sylvia, I think, did one. Do not be bashful. You cannot speak worse than me. So
we all do our very best, and we give our best.
I never watched it after. I didn't turn my video off. I've been discouraged ever since.
Oh no, I think you did a fantastic job.
Yep.
Sylvia did collaborative games.
Yeah, I learned. I shouldn't have watched it though after.
No, but here's the deal. We are always our own worst critic. But doing it and learning from it means that you're going to be better next time you need to do it. So do it with us whenever it doesn't count so much.
Yeah. Let some of these new people try one first.
Okay. We've got easy ones in here, guys. We got glossary. Just
SWOT analysis. I wish you would post it, because I've been waiting for you to post it, because you keep saying you're going to do it. And then I can look through the topics and find one that I feel more comfortable with.
Okay.
That would help. Like,
Cliff, if you can help us figure out a way to post it.
If you want to, just save the first 2 columns as text and post it on next week's meetup page as a comment.
I will do that.
Yeah. That way I can look through them and find something that I want to do.
And we can always get a version of it out there where we put the recordings. So
and put a link to that on the meetup page.
That would work. Okay, let's do it this way. Okay, we'll get this on next week's meetup page so that you can see not only which recording has which technique, but which ones are still lacking someone to do them. And we will see y'all next week at the same time. Invite your friends. We want to make everybody have a better life.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Y'all have a fantastic week.
Yep. You too. See you next week.
Thank you. See you next week. Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Stay in. Bye, guys.